Hi everyone, what's up and welcome back to 31 Nights of Horror. I'm so excited to finally be able to talk about this Tim Burton classic, Beetlejuice. The spirits of a deceased couple are harassed by an unbearable family that has moved into their home and hire a malicious spirit to drive them out. This movie is the one recommendation that I give anybody if they're like, what spooky movie should I watch this month that's not too scary but still a lot of fun? Beetlejuice. Like seriously, if you haven't seen Beetlejuice, go right now and find where to watch this movie because you guys will not want to miss this movie. I have such a soft spot for this movie. It's insanely rewatchable, and every single time I'm in like a spooky mood, I will put this on because it's such an easy watch, but you can still get a lot out of it, which is really good in my opinion. I want to start off by talking about the cast because they really do make this movie. So Beetlejuice is played by Michael Keaton, and what I think is really interesting about this movie is that Beetlejuice doesn't come out in this movie as much as you might think. The first time I saw it, I thought Beetlejuice was going to be the main point of this movie, but you know, in a sense it is a driving force in the movie, but it isn't the total point of the film. He's not the central character. I feel like he probably has max 30 minutes of screen time, which is crazy because he's the titular character. We have Alec Baldwin playing Adam and Geena Davis playing Barbara, his wife, and I love their characters so much. I like that we're following them, and what I think is really interesting about this movie is, as the synopsis reads, these people are being haunted by the new guests. So it kind of flips the table on the ghost situation, and something that I think is really interesting too. So the first time I watched this, I didn't know that they died. Like, I just didn't really know anything about this movie when I first saw it a couple years back, and I remember I saw it and I thought that they survived the car crash, but then we find out that they died, and I just think that was so cool. Like, we find out in the same moment that these characters find out that they die, and I think this movie has a lot of interesting ways to talk about the afterlife in ways that I don't think are explored in many other movies, but we'll be getting into that after we finish talking about the cast. And then we have Catherine O'Hara, she plays Delia, we have Jeffrey Jones playing Charles, and we have my favorite, Winona Ryder playing Lydia Dietz, and I actually dressed up as Lydia once for Halloween, so I'll show you that right here. But yeah, I love Lydia. She's one of my favorite characters in any movie. I just think she's so interesting and so cool, and I love her. Like, I think Winona Ryder was the perfect choice because I don't imagine anybody else playing this character. She just does such a good job with this like gothic vibe, gothic dry dark humor vibes. Like, I love Lydia so much, and I love how important she is to the story, and I like that she's the only one that can see them at first, so she kind of forms this like alliance with them and learns about the handbook of the deceased. And speaking of the handbook of the deceased, the way this movie handles the afterlife is so interesting in my opinion. We have so many creative sets in this movie. I think the production design for Beetlejuice is one of Tim Burton's best because his style is sprinkled all over it. Tim Burton's style is sprinkled all over all of his movies, but I feel like here it's one of my favorite uses of it. I just think it's so creative. I love the practical effects with like the other people, creatures, things waiting to get their turn in the afterlife thing. I love the exploration that like there's a way for ghosts to die, which is super interesting because the ghosts are already dead, but there's something that's like death but for the dead people, and like it's just so many interesting concepts. Just the concept of Beetlejuice himself is really interesting as well. I love the use of like the miniatures in the movie, and I just really like the way this entire movie looks. There are some stuff that look a bit dated, like at the beginning in the movie when Alec Baldwin's character, he like opens a door to leave and then it's like this really deserty weird area, you know, it looks dated, and that happens a little bit in this movie, but I still don't take off too many points from that because I still think the practical effects in the movie look really great, and it makes it a lot of fun. It gives it like a little flair to it, seeing all of these real life sets come to life, and I just think it's super cool. But I just think that it's really interesting how we got to see the ghost perspective for all of this, and we got to see why they wanted to haunt this house, and we learned a lot through this entire process just like they did. Like that scene with which the practical effects in that one is awesome, when Barbara, she's like hanging like this in the closet, and then she like takes off her head and like the eyeballs and stuff, but then it cuts to Catherine O'Hara's character like making a disgusted face, and we think she's seeing her, but she's just making a disgusted face because the closet isn't too big. So it's just really cool moments like that give us character traits but also just show us more about this world, and I think that was all super cool. And we kind of just get to also see how melancholic life is after death. Like, you know, with these characters, I feel like when ghosts are in movies, they're usually there to spook people or to be creepy, but in this case they were like pretty sad about what happened. Like they were pretty sad about what happened. I think the movie decided to start off in a moment where like they were pretty good in their life, they wanted to expand their home and all of that, because of the conversation we got at the beginning, and then they die. Like, it just makes us as an audience kind of feel bad for them even if we didn't know too much of them. And then, you know, I think they both have really great chemistry with each other, and I just really like seeing them on screen. I think they were very likable. I think the actors are really charismatic in their roles, and they just work really well for that. But I like that turn of tables where, like, you know, they feel like they're being haunted, they feel like they're being tormented by these new guests that are coming into the house, where usually it would be the opposite way, you know. And it kind of is like a play on play, because then they do start haunting the family. So it's really interesting. I think the dynamic that is formed with this movie between the living and the dead is something that I've never seen before, and I think Tim Burton just made this as unique as possible. And I also really like the way the afterlife is almost making it seem as mundane as life itself. Like, you know, it doesn't seem too far-fetched from real life, even though obviously there's a lot of different things. But I like the whole, like, you have to wait a lot for your turn. There's this like status of ghosts depending on your social status and like what you owned and what you did during your life. And like, I feel like, you know, that is an analogy and that is a parallel to real life and how, you know, social class and status is formed. And that's what I mean, where like this movie is an easy watch, but if you really think about it, there's a lot to digest and look into it. Like, the afterlife in this movie just feels like American culture, which I never really realized until my recent rewatch went to do this review, and I was like, I very much like that. And just to go back talking about Michael Keaton, I think he's so funny in this movie. You know, the first time I saw it, actually, I thought he was pretty annoying, and I feel like I still sometimes get that. Like, there's some jokes that don't land, but honestly, on this recent rewatch, I laughed out loud so many times. Like, I genuinely think this movie's really funny, and I like everything that he does. I think the movie has a really nice way, again, of mixing that, like, actual comedic humor and then, like, drier humor with Lydia Deetz, and, like, all of it combined is so funny. Like, I love the one-liners that Lydia has. This movie handles topics that are really dark, like depression. Death, obviously, is a big one, but it does it in a way that feels like almost every single person can watch this movie. Like, even if you're a little kid, if you're a teenager, if you're an adult, if you're older, like, it just makes it very accessible to everybody, and that's why I really just appreciate this movie. I personally just think this movie is super interesting. I've never seen anything quite like it. Like, I keep repeating myself saying that, but it's true. I think Tim Burton's style is just really creative, and with a lot of his movies you just will never see anything like it. But with Beetlejuice, the concept is so unique and so interesting, and it tackles afterlife in probably one of my favorite ways in any movie. And with all of that being said, I'm going to give Beetlejuice an A. Let me know what you guys think about Beetlejuice down below in the comment section. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Or do you fall right in the middle? I'd love to hear all about that. And if you're not subscribed to my channel but you enjoyed today's video, I highly recommend subscribing, because I will be posting every single day till the month of October ends, and I'm so excited for you guys to see what other videos I have planned. And I can't believe that there are 10 days until Halloween. I put that back there. I put that back there. I've only been showing the little like countdown in my intro, but I put that back there because I'm shook. This October has flown so fast, and I just can't believe it. So I just needed to say that, because has this October flown fast for you guys? Let me know down below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video and all of your support, and I hope you all have a spooky afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye everyone!